We are live on Facebook. Good afternoon. This is Take Charge Tuesday with Beth Copeland, Georgia Christian Business Network. We're putting God back in business. I am so excited today, and I got out there earlier to announce to you that you needed to get on this call today because we have an outstanding GCBN member that is on the platform. And not only is she a Georgia Christian Business Network member, she's a dear friend. I mean, it's a God connection. I mean, one of those where you didn't go chase after someone or you didn't get introduced to this individual by someone else. God did the introduction. And I am so glad that he allowed Sabrina Reynolds to path to intersect with mine for such a time as this and even more to come. But today we promoted her. We've told you about what a great opportunity that you would have today to experience this outstanding business coach, life coach. So today we've told you about her credentials on paper, but you get to experience and to appreciate an opportunity to have her to introduce herself. Sabrina Reynolds, welcome back to the Georgia Christian Business Network platform.
Thank you, Beth. I am so glad to be here. You know, you're so right. It was such a God thing. He just does it, you know, and I'm like, yay. Sometimes we don't know why he connects us and puts us in certain paths, but he just starts to reveal it as we go along. And I'm so grateful that I had this connection with you, Beth. And yeah, I'm just overwhelmed with the love of God and how
I am. I'm just, you know what I say? And this is something you're going to get us straight into what you have, that wealth of business acumen and what you can give in this space and time. We're so ready to receive. But I have to say this, that I believe when you seek God, he reserves you sincerely of heart and humility, that he has divine appointments, that his best folks, and that's what I say, he reserves for us, you know. So thank you so much for the kind things that you've said. What's going on today? What are we talking about? Can I just say this? It's all about Elevation 2022.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so elevation, you know, I just felt like elevating your leadership now, you know, elevating your leadership now. And we're so busy and we're caught up with so many things that we forget to work on who God has called us to be as leaders. You know, I see, you know, a lot of women names on here, but, you know, as women, you know, typically we are so busy, you know, elevating, you know, all these other things in our lives, and we forget to elevate ourselves as leaders. And so I have a quick little presentation here that I love to share with you. For those who don't know who I am a what I would call a serial entrepreneur. Yeah, I do a lot because I just can't keep still. I am busy with a lot of things, and not just to, you know, say, hey, I'm a busy person, but I love getting my hands into whatever God has given me the opportunity to get my hands into. For me, that has taken me on a journey to different places. One of the things I do, I am a business coach. So I do business coaching for entrepreneurs. And then I also do a 90-day CEO program and all that great stuff. But, you know, my greatest things that I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I take care of my mom, I'm a ministry leader. So those are the things that I love getting my hands into. But enough about me. I'm here to just really pour into you because I was sharing with Beth, you know, when these things, when I have an opportunity to share, it's usually because it's something that came to me first. It's something that God spoke to my heart and challenged me with. And I just pray you can get a little something out of it too. So my prayer is that today that you are uncomfortable, that this irritates your sense of ease and comfortability, that this like puts a spark in your heart, because I feel like if you're expecting to elevate this year without, putting some work into it, I think you may be in the wrong session. I'm just putting it out there. But, when God calls you as a leader in business or, anywhere else, it's not easy, and we have sometimes this dream and thinking that, oh, it's this wonderful dream. And once I get to this level, everything will be perfect and wonderful. And I won't have to work a day in my life. That's not true.
So.
It's
No.
not so, and here's another thing too, when you get to an elevated place, you want to be in a place where your character is ready to handle that next level he's calling you to. And those challenges come to get you prepared and get you ready. So again, I say, if you're looking for something that's safe and comfortable and easy, you really have a misperception of what your true calling it is. And sometimes our pursuit of comfortable, while we're trying to elevate, sometimes that might explain why we make some terrible decisions. We have some sleepless nights, or maybe I'm the only one who's had some very, very painful, very, very ugly cries because I'm trying to pursue this comfortable zone and it's not happening. So,
Sabrina, I'm right there with you, because I love where your lead in is just so powerful. And Jenny, so good to see you, and all of those, that Natasha, Connie, how are you? LaShawn joined us early enough for prayer with us. It's good to see you all here. And I know that Lisa's probably going to give us an update of who's over on the Facebook side. But listen, this is such a wonderful lead in. And I have to comment on Jenny's chat that she put in the chat group. Of course, she said, "You rock." She rocks in that role as her business coach. And I love that. She's excited to hear what you have to say, as well as me and everyone else. But I love this. She said, "Comfort the distressed, distressed the comfortable." And I love the way you presented that for us today, because a lot of people, when they hear elevation, and I should have said this in my lead in, the way that we're defining elevation at Georgia Christian Business Network is as a continual ascension in your mind and aligning your feet to follow the path that is outlined. And in order to go from glory to glory, and God said we do it, in between those glories, there's an opportunity that stuff is going to happen. And that's what I think is a challenge for people, is God said from glory to glory. But the in-between is what challenges us sometimes. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes in those in-betweens, we're wondering, oh, did I make the right decision? Was this the right thing? And you're feeling it's not doing what you expected it to do. And you're just kind of like confused or just feeling like discouraged. I'm personally one of those who I was just completely discouraged. I completely gave up on the dreams that I had. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to live the average life. Forget these dreams, forget business. I'm just going to, go get a real job and, and I think as entrepreneurs, we've probably all been there where you're questioning yourself and wondering, yeah, did I really make the right move? So yeah, I completely agree. Like I said, these challenges, they come to make us stronger. They come to sharpen us, to make us ready for the next level. Because the truth is, how we are now, there are things in us that we can't bring to the next level. We can't bring that to where we're supposed to be. We can't bring all those insecurities and the imposter syndrome and, all of the chasing the shiny objects, trying to find the next thing that's going to make you the millionaire, all of those things, those fears, we can't bring it with us. So a lot of times during those seasons, he's using those seasons to work out some of that stuff, so we're not bringing that into the next level. And we're talking about, character. What does your character look like? We've all seen those, high level leaders that have gotten to positions, and their character hasn't matched the level of where they are, the stage of where they are. And it's so much better to humble yourself than to be humiliated. Can I get a witness?
Yeah. Exactly. Because humility is scripturally before honor. Humility is before honor. And so if you're in a humiliated place of unrest, distress, know that if you'll stay close to God, honor is on the way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes. So one of the things I want to talk about is elevating your love, right? That's the first thing I believe. You need to elevate your love for God and your love for yourself, so you can truly love people. Sometimes we forget that, and we think that we can go out and love people, but yet we're battering ourselves. Our mindset is not where it should be. We think we're not enough. We can't, and you're not going to make it, and all these different things that we battle in our mind. So you've got to elevate your love. And sometimes people think, well, what does that have to do with my business though? That's good and scriptural and it's fluffy and fun, but what does that have to do with, my business? So, what I'm not saying that you shouldn't, create these courses, go into, making funnels and automation, and please update your website if it needs to be updated. I'm not saying you shouldn't do all those things, but, if you start doing all these things without love, then it's just going to be like that noisy gong and that clanging cymbal. I refer back to, 1 Corinthians 13:1. If you do all this stuff without love, what's the point? What's the point of it? And the truth is, people are smarter than you think. They can spot you when your motive is to make some more money, or your motive is to make yourself feel better because the last challenge that you did, it didn't fill up your funnel like you expected it to, or, the pivot that you took, it didn't bring you that 6-figure client, all of that. Sometimes that pursuit without the love can make you, make you more of a copycat, and you're doing things just because it's what everybody else says is what you should be doing, as opposed to really, seeking God's face, and then him showing you what's good for your business, what your calling is, So when you wrap, all of these things, like your challenges, your courses, your branding, all those things, when you wrap it in love, and your motivation is loving, that authenticity, it's going to shine through. It's going to shine through without you even really, trying so hard. It's going to show up, and you'll start to, base your branding and your marketing. All of that will be based around your genuine love for God and love for his people.
The practicality of love is so outstanding. And I'm so excited to see that. I mean, who would have thought? We're talking about business, we're talking about elevating, and you say elevate your love walk. Love is foundational, and how to walk that out. You have the art of doing that. That when you encounter people, and I'm talking about you in particular right now, that the love of God exudes from you. Now, you don't go around saying, I love you and all these opportunities. What you're looking for in your engagement, what I've experienced about you, Jenny's already attest to for a number of years or whatever that you've been her personal coach. Listen, I missed the opportunity when you were on the platform the last time, but Lisa Muth, oh, she's sang your praises. Oh man. And I was like, oh my God, I love her too, but I missed it. And I felt like, oh my God, there is no way I'm missing today. God allowed it. But that love is so critical. The love walk is so critical. Even when we have to say hard things or whatever, if people know that you're doing them within love, they feel the genuineness of it, and they appreciate and they respect you for it, and they'll still want to do business with you. I know I've had that experience personally where I had to get a no from someone, but it wasn't because they were trying to be mean to me. It was just because that's the way God allowed it to play out. But I still felt the love. You understand? And now you're talking about that today, and I'm going, wow.
And one thing I want to point out too, like there was a time where I was loving on God and loving on people, but I was not loving on myself. I was constantly battling this thing in my head with, you're not good enough, and just feeling like you can't make it. That imposter syndrome is a very real thing. And I focus so much on trying to present this image, because I wanted people to feel loved and feel honored. But here I was battling with my own insecurities and my own feelings of like, and I keep going back to the not good enough, because that was the ringing thing in my head. Beth, I can tell you, I was trying to do a video one time, and I must have recorded it about 30 times, but none of them were good enough. Every single one that I recorded, I was like, delete, that's not good enough. Delete, that's not good enough. And I'm literally trying to record, and I'm spiraling in my mind. And I'm trying to say the things that are positive, but my mind is going, this is not good. This is horrible. This is terrible. Nobody's going to like that,
Oh my. I've got to include our Facebook side of the house. They are just shooting information for me. I'm going to start backwards and work up. You have a question on the table from Lisa, and she says, for Sabrina, how can we love on ourselves? What are some tangible things and tactical things we can do so that we can show up in love to our clients? I'm just going to roll it all out and let you just kind of share and respond. We've got some great activity over there. Hi, Dr. Jessica. Hello. Thank you. She says, hi, Beth and Sabrina. Angela, but Angela's here with us too. Hi, Angela. She said, this is too good. I'm coming to Zoom. See y'all later, Facebook. Kimberly, sorry for your loss, but thank you for joining. And she makes a comment. It's a process. It is a process. Then we have Angela, and I don't know, I'll allow you to speak to it later, but I'm going to put it out here for now so Sabrina can start to respond to some of this. The in-between is where we get the strength to move forward or prepare us for what is come. Yeah. Awesome. So you want to kind of speak to some of that for Sabrina, please?
Absolutely, Beth. That was such a journey for me, because I've got a backstory. Everybody's got a backstory, right? Of where that insecurity, where that stuff came from, over the years of those things happening in my life. Without getting too deep right now, it was a journey to unearth all of that crud, those deep roots that had been spoken over my life and that I actually started to believe. Now, I had to combat 40 something years, you don't know exactly how old, but 40 something years of negative thoughts. And the way it started out was, one, I had to start to realize that my thoughts betray me sometimes. My thoughts betray me because sometimes I was just really believing it, that, yeah, you know what, I'm really not good at this. I'm really not good enough, but my thoughts were betraying me. But how did I learn that? And it's going to sound super spiritual, but the truth is I learned that from the Word of God. I had to learn who my Father says I am. And I had people giving me, the who I am scriptures, and, I read them here and there, and, gave me a little up, and, I felt good for a minute. But I really had to understand, like, God made it so real in my life one day that faith comes by hearing. And it was like, oh, wait a minute. Faith, it's not just faith in Him, but it's faith in who I am. Like, even though I may not see all the examples of who He says I am, that faith in that he is calling me to be more, he has created me to be more, he is shaping me into something more, I had to actually hear it. Now, there's this thing, called the inner voice. She is loud and noisy and obnoxious, and she's going to keep saying all that crud to make you believe the negative things. But I had to combat that. And it was a journey. I had to be intentional. I didn't always, believe it. So I had to force myself to hear the truth. And that would either be listening to something by Christine Kane, where she is just telling you all the great things of God, and just listening to word that was speaking over my life and eliminating things that were just negative. And so it started out with that, is hearing that stuff in my ears. And then I had to learn to speak it myself. I couldn't believe it until I started speaking it out loud myself. And I literally, when I would think it, I would have to say out loud, nope, that's not true. That's not who my father says I am. This is who I am. And I couldn't do that without having accurate words from the Lord that was speaking that over my life. It's more than just positive sayings. You've got to use his word.
Listen, so outstanding, well articulate in what you're saying. Another factor along the lines of where you are is not only after you embrace it, stop looking to the left and looking to the right. Look in the mirror and look at what God has spoken to you, and you repeat it. I used to, at some of my earlier seminars for women, to pass out mirrors, and on the back of the mirror, and they would be handheld, are all the I am statements. And so you would be, and also you're looking in a mirror, but I've suggested you get before your bathroom mirror so that you could read into the mirror that you're looking in the I am statements on the back of that mirror. And I don't know, maybe we did it for one GGG as well, but this is years and years ago. But the opportunity is to speak it, but also do not let the enemy come and steal it once you speak it. And sometimes that happens with comparisons. And I just did a live. I had no idea you were going in this direction. All I knew was elevation now. And we trust you so much that you're so in alignment with what God is doing and what he would have you to say to us. Listen, I get on this live just right before this show, and I'm just feeling in my spirit. And Angela and I had a conversation last night, and I spoke to this in a live, Angela, I tagged you, is that associations bring about assimilation. And if you're excited about what God said, who you are, I am this and I am that, and then somebody comes and snatch it from you saying, no, I'd rather see you as such and such, or you're supposed to be doing this and this. You have got to be true to what God says, and the outcome belongs to him. This is so awesome. There's some comments here. Jenny made in Zoom. I appreciate your bringing this humility and honor to our minds today. Awesome. Thank you. The I am enough syndrome and faith comes from here. You had to say it to yourself, hear yourself say it. Is that okay, Angela? Did you have anything else that you wanted to ask directly? Or are you good? Awesome. Continue, Sabrina. We're on it.
I like what you said about comparison, because that's sometimes one of the things that we struggle with, right? But I have this gift, but it doesn't look like that gift. And that gift looks so much better. Why can't I have that person's gift? And it's like, no, because I didn't call you to be that person. I called you uniquely, and I created you uniquely to be who you are. And no one can be a better you than you. And you're beautiful, you're wonderful, you're loved, and all those things that we have to remind ourselves of. Our Father created, we were fearfully and wonderfully made. He created us with intention. He created us with purpose. And I can't get distracted with trying to look like somebody else and what they're doing, even though what they're doing is amazing and beautiful and honorable. I can't get caught up in that. And that was another thing that helped me to release the spirit of perfectionism, the spirit of, not good enough, all of that stuff. It helped me to release that because I got to walk my walk, not somebody else's walk.
And God's already qualified you.
That's
we
right.
Look for people to, affirmation is good. Don't get me wrong. But I look more for the affirmation than the confirmation because, and I don't have time to deal with that, but just look at the words and just Webster's. But the opportunity sometime, and confirmations are good too, don't misunderstand me, but sometimes we're seeking after God's told us, what, Angela, is this okay that I do this? And we don't say it exactly that, but listen, girl, go on with your lesson because don't get me started. I'm going to take this somewhere else, girl. Go on with your lesson. Just do it.
Really good stuff, Evan. Really good stuff. I love it how this is going. But the next thing I talk about is elevate your influence, right? And when I say elevate your influence, I am not talking about your social media followers. I'm not talking about your shiny new brand that you just spent, all this money and all this time creating themes and colors and all that great stuff. Listen, I said before, you need to be practical. Yes, you need to, elevate your brand and, make sure that you're, gaining followers. But what's the motivation behind it, right? Because if you're doing this, you need to be gaining followers so you can serve them. Not so you can be famous, but you do that so you can serve them because that is our call. We look at Jesus, right? He is the absolute best example of leadership that ever walked the earth, hands down. I'm not even arguing. It's not up for debate. It's not up for argument. He is the absolute best role model that we could ever ask for, right? And when he's speaking to his audience, right, his followers, he is speaking to them for their benefit, not for his. He's speaking to them for their benefit, right? And so when we think about this wonderful savior, this wonderful leader, right? And you think that he would say, hey, put me on a pedestal, everybody, or he would have failed the temptation, when he came out of the wilderness and just, done whatever. But he did this and led by example by washing his disciples' feet. Think about that for a minute, right? They walked everywhere. Their feet were nasty. They were just nasty, dirty. I just can't even imagine how filthy their feet were, right? But he bent down to wash their feet. And that just gets me so emotional, right? When we start thinking about the savior of the world, the creator of the universe, took the time to wash the dirt off of his followers' feet. So as you're thinking about elevating your influence, I want to ask you, as a business leader, whose feet are you truly washing? Now, I'm not saying go out, in front of your business office and, set up a bucket of water and start, hey, stranger, come here, let me wash. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that. But I'm just thinking about who are you washing off their dirt? You're washing off their weariness, their exhaustion. You're just washing them with your words, with your actions. Who are you washing? That's our whole purpose of being leaders and being elevated. It's not so we can elevate us, it's so we can be better servants. That's the greatest thing in leadership, is being a better servant. So you start thinking about, okay, how can I wash the stench off of somebody? How can I wash the dirt off of someone? You think about somebody who maybe feel unappreciated, or somebody who's going through something, wash them with your words, congratulate them on something that, they're achieving something that you wish you had, but they're feeling a little self-conscious because others may be, making them feel some type of way because they're being elevated. This is true. Some people don't like sharing their successes because they think that people are going to be jealous or what have you. but be the first one to honor them, you know, for doing a job well done, or how they're, you know, moving the body of Christ. And, you know, I think about how, you know, Beth is just like washing my soul when she says some of this stuff. I'm like, wow, thank you, Lord. You know, thank you. Help me to keep doing that. You know, help me to be even more excited about, you know, pouring into people. You could be vulnerable in front of another leader. You know, that's another thing, you know, with this imposter syndrome, right? And this perfectionism, we want to come across as we've got it together and everything's perfect. And my first challenge brought in $1 billion. And, and, you know, we're afraid to be vulnerable, but you can, you know, share with someone and encourage them, or make a connection for them, and, you know, bless their business, do a collaboration to somebody who's new in the business, and, you know, to build them up, build their brand, you know, be a blessing to them. And I just think about those are ways that we can really actively wash each other's feet. You know, it's so much more than, you know, thinking about it, but we got to put our love in action. And that's to me how
you're so outstanding. And I want to ask over on Facebook Live and right here on Zoom. I feel like the disciples on the Mount of Transfiguration, and I remember just their presence. It is good that we are here, and did our hearts not burn? And that's what I'm feeling right now. See, the issue is, if you will embrace the truth of who God is for your life, understanding whose you are and who you are in Him, that's the first step to elevation. We know how dynamic a CEO coach that you are, and you're taking us back to basics. And the fruit that comes from just walking in, you're talking love, you're talking influence, you're talking taking the word of God and taking it in totality and truth, declarations about who you are in Him, the I am statements. And one might ask, I wanted to hear some business tips.
But they are.
They're the most important ones. And when you understood the assignment, because it came from God, you have confirmed everything that God has said to me about elevation and what it looks like for this year. Because we were in the height of the best ever until 2022, God of Golfing Girls at Chateau Elan. And we were just, it was just beautiful. And I heard the Lord speak, and I was thanking God. We were at the end, and I was in a place, the physical strength was really depleting, but the spiritual high was just there. And I just closed my eyes and said, thank you, God, because we had 50 registered, 47 attendees. But more than that, just so much had happened. Most diverse opportunity. I had 6 or 7 states represented, and all the hype of that. And I said, God, I thank you. And He said back to me so clearly, this isn't it. I want you to next year elevate. In August of 2021, that's where I got the truth of the word about elevation. And I was like, oh my God, what is there? What is this? You know, and it took me 2 or 3 days as He calls me to rest. And as Becky told on the virtual clinic, we had like 35 ladies on the call on Saturday. And she's my neighbor friend, Becky, because she had walked up. She took a day off after the event last August, and she walked up, and we're sitting on my back porch, and I was depleted. But she told about how tired I am afterwards. But the key is this. God, we think we're there. God said, that's not it. It's about elevating your relationship with me, elevating in the things that are important to Him. That other stuff you're talking about, if you'll get right here, I will broaden your level of influence. If you'll care more about what I care about, and I care about my people.
Yes, yes.
And that's important to God. So just thank you so much for taking us back to what really matters. And elevation is here now, as long as we are ready to embrace the truth.
Yeah.
It's significant. Oh
Yeah.
my God, thank you.
Oh, that, like I said, I had to get this first before I could deliver it. This was God challenging me, number one. So that's where this is coming from. Like, thank you, Lord, for bringing this out in my life. Angela, were you going to say something?
I do want to say something. I'm sorry, so quick. This is so good. And I love the way that Beth was just talking about how she was depleted. But see, he wants us to pour into other people so that he can, when we pour it out, now we're empty, allowing him to pour more into us. You understand? Oh, this is good. Sabrina, I want to be your friend. I want to be everybody's friend. This is just so good.
I love your energy,
It's just a
Angela. I will be your friend too.
It's just so awesome. You're just hitting it, and you're hitting it so hard, but it's being received, and you're saying it in such a beautiful, you're saying it in love. So yeah, you can wash my feet. You're washing my feet now. I feel good. Do you? Oh, I'm at work. I gotta calm down.
I love you. Thank you, Angela. We named her Miss GGG Congeniality last year because she just, it exudes from her, and she's a giver, but that's another day, another story. I like Jenny's comment. She said, LOL, yes, we want to be your friend. You go, girl, preach. I love it. Thank you guys for being here on Zoom. We love this interaction, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks, Jenny. One of the last comments about influence I wanted to say is just remember, as you're seeking this elevation and you're seeking all of these followers, the bigger the following, the more dirty feet you have to wash. So be cognizant of that, that you're gonna have to step it up, in all these things. So you're prepared to wash a lot of dirty feet.
Question for you right there.
Yes, ma'am.
You've got to you've got to give us a deep dive briefly on that, because we expect as a part of elevation, God's gonna just bring all these people that are on this top level into our lives, and he may very well do that. But when you're talking about washing the feet that are even more dirty than maybe we are accustomed to washing, just bring it down a little bit. I hear you,
Sure.
and I'm feeling you, but you gotta bring it down a little bit.
Well, the truth is, we're human, and we all have our issues. We all have our stuff, and to think that you're going to get, all of these, followers, and you're just going to be able to drop, easy little nuggets, and then, oh, I'm going to become a billionaire, or, oh, that's all I need to do. That's not what your calling is. You're going to have to get into, for some, I feel like it has to be a healthy boundaries, walk alongside people. I say healthy boundaries for those who are givers, who overextend themselves sometimes and make it themselves into situations where people are not really looking to grow. They're just looking to pull and suck from you. It has to be a healthy boundaries walk with those who are going through stuff. We can't expect everyone to walk into our presence and be polite and wonderful. There are some people that they come across as nasty and rude, and we're just kind of like, I don't want to deal with that person, but you really don't know the root of why they're having that attitude, why they're reluctant to communicate with you, why, what are those things that are underlying. I'm not saying you have to be everybody's counselor, but you have to give people grace in areas. You have to speak life over people, even when you think that I want nothing to do with them. You got to speak life over people. We weren't called to an easy walk. We weren't called to just be fluff. He really wants us to pour into people. That's what's important. And, and the more people that you're talking about leading, that's the more action you're going to have to take as far as pouring into people. So don't despise the small beginnings. You know, sometimes we think, oh, Lord, I only have one client. Oh, Lord, I only have 2 customers. Oh, you know, but he's calling you to get it right with the 1 or the 2 or the small number, so you can be prepared for the larger numbers and the more people that will come in. There's no way I was ready for what God has for me today 2 years ago. When this pandemic happened, I was not ready. I was like, Zoom, what? What's a Zoom? You know, I wasn't ready to really, you know, engage. You know, I didn't have this the self-esteem and the love that God was trying to develop in my heart for myself to really be just okay with just being who I've been called to be. He had to take me through that process in order to be ready for those who would come. Because if I wasn't right and still in that love God, love people, but I didn't love me, when those people came, I wouldn't have had what I needed to be able to continue to pour into them and to wash their feet.
Wow, this is so great, and I'm so glad you brought up the initiation. When we started moving in, recognizing that we were in a pandemic, and what the impact has been on business. And we talked briefly prior to coming on the show today, and it has been amazingly good, is what we both agreed. But what we need to have to understand in elevation, that the process, who was that said, it's a process. I don't know, was it Jenny or someone over on Facebook side of the house? Angela, it may have been you, I'm not sure, but it is a process. And the opportunity is to know what Sabrina is highlighting for us. Don't faint in the process. The opportunity, don't grow weary in well doing, for in due season you shall reap if you faint not. And read Jeremiah 12:5. You know, you're talking about, I'm ready to run with the horses, and you're becoming wearied running with the footmen, because horses have 4 legs, footmen have 2. You're not going to be able to run at the speed. So you've got to go through those opportunities. And God placed it strongly on my heart. How do I go? My whole network is about meeting and greeting and coming out to fellowship. And what? I got to do it on Zoom now? You see, he had to introduce me early on, because in that January, we started a virtual coaching trial type thing with a couple of ladies that God had put in my path. And I'm like, what? How do I do this? And so Lisa Muth and we just had a workout one day, because God put it in my spirit. He said, if God says go, COVID can't say no. And I want you to know that we went from, and Lisa can correct me over on the Facebook side of the house, her, Jessica, Dr. Jess, and Lisa over there manning that, and thank you. We went from either 5 to 6 members to, not members, sponsors, to about almost 20.
Wow.
Yeah. And during the pandemic years. And now we're over 20 members. So the opportunity is, you've got to understand the assignment from God and be the example. You're the example that many are watching, and they're saying, okay, Sabrina Reynolds is doing this. Okay, God's with her. He'll be with me. And so we just have to follow me as I follow Christ.
That's right.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And do not allow the enemy to interrupt where God is taking you. Are you there? Okay, yeah, okay. Do not allow the enemy to interrupt where God is taking you, right. Because God is calling you higher. It may not look like it, because his ways are not our ways. You know, his thoughts are not our thoughts. They're so much more advanced than anything that we could imagine. Oh, help us out, Sabrina. Please help us out. Okay.
So that's great stuff, Beth. It just reminds me, you know, the truth is, until I got those things right, I was just spinning my wheels and working and trying and, you know, we talk about pivot. I was pivoting so much, my head was on a swivel. It was just going like, okay, maybe this, okay, maybe that, But when I just stopped and said, okay, God, what are you really trying to say to me? Because all of these things they're driving me crazy. I'm working, 12 hours a day trying to pivot and trying to make stuff happen. And, and then he just started speaking to me about truly loving him, learning to truly love myself and truly love people and focus on serving. And I was like, that's the difference in my business.
Oh my God.
What?
Oh my God.
It's not in my funnel. It's not in this. It's not in that, and all the, when he really got that through to my heart and it wasn't just something in my head, that's when stuff started flowing. And I was just like, wow, God, okay, okay, I didn't see that coming, but it wasn't until I let those things go. I let go perfectionism, and it's a battle. Let's say that it's a battle, to let go of the desire to look well when things are when I don't know what's happening really. It's a battle to be vulnerable, to say, hey, I tried this, but it didn't work out the way I expected. I thought 75 people were going to show up to my meeting and it was just me and a camera. Hey, that's part of my story. I'm like, it's just me on a Zoom camera. I guess we're not doing a challenge.
But when obedience happens, Sabrina, will you agree with me on this? The outcome, we don't own the outcome. God owns the outcome. Listen, he gives the foolish things to confound the wise. He wants to show us because he already knows, are you going to show up? And I believe the number one key to business success starts with showing up in obedience to what God said. Don't worry if you just ministering to your husband. And here comes no one showed up at this class once. My husband was sitting there. I was about to cry early on. This was years ago. And I was about to cry. And he was looking at me like, nuh-uh, not today. Oh, okay. Wow, that's good. And he was just I was still teaching to him the message he had heard for years, multiple times. And he was sitting there just like this, like, don't you dare stop. You just keep going. At the end, that church, the information happened that they gave the wrong room. But I didn't even know that. But after the class that I was facilitating for that particular church, they brought to me an envelope. And back then, this was a lot of money. And they placed a check with an envelope with a check inside for $250. They paid me for teaching to my husband. And then the next week, I had to go a whole entire week before I learned this, because the next week my class was full. And I was like, okay, God, this is so confusing. Okay. And they said, oh, we're so glad we found out they gave us the wrong room number last week. And we were all just sitting there waiting on you to come. And so we all just said, is she coming back for this? Because I was doing how to lead people without losing your mind. And I was facilitating that for this particular church. And they had, but it's optional. You could go to this class or that class or whatever. And I just like, no one chose my class. The enemy tells lies. But the thing that you had to understand, and the message he was sending, is God chooses me every time. He chose me that day and every other day.
That's right. Beth, you said something that's so key. That's been like my anthem. God is the God of the outcome. God is the God of the outcome. All of those times, like I said, being in front of that camera and just being me, just me and Zoom. Hey, Zoom audience of none. It's like God was preparing me to be ready for when there would be a time where I could speak into other people. He was allowing that stuff, that fear that would normally be in my voice to be eliminated, and for me to build confidence and all of those things. So yes, absolutely. Showing up is so vital, but we can't get so tied into the outcome. Like you said, expecting all these people to show up or expecting this or expecting that. He's like, just follow me. Just be
Excellent.
obedient. What just be
Yeah.
obedient. When I say move, just move. You know, it doesn't
And,
matter
and,
if
and
you know
allow,
why.
right. Allow your expectation to be in the Lord. And
That's
I
right.
think it's Psalm 62:5. Basically, and I paraphrase, let your expectation be in the Lord. And we expect other people. It would be like people would tell me, I'm going to join the network. I'm going to renew the membership and I'm going to GGG. And I believe people because that person you described about, a giver and sometimes even Gulliver used to be, not anymore. Because if you want to talk to me about joining GCBN and someone's telling me that, more than likely, I'm telling you to have them call me. Because if I have to call you, then because the form is on the website and don't understand that I hope I'm not sounding arrogant or high or mighty. What I'm saying is what I realize is the value of my time because there's so many people out there that want to. I don't even know it till we're sending a welcome package because they not only did they have a desire that they understood from God, but they acted upon what God said. And Beth Copeland is just getting me in on thank you for joining us, and looking for how I can find out about your business so I'll know where to plug.
That's so awesome. When you were talking about the expectation being, on God, right? And not putting it on the results and what you think you want to see. One of the things that I've learned is sometimes my success line was unrealistic. My line and what I felt like was going to be success was way up here. And really, I had to move that line from the achievement and the goal and the this and the that, because the truth is it was never enough. I was never satisfied, with where, I should be. But my line was, I was obedient. That's my new goal line. I was obedient. I did what he said do. I know it doesn't look like what I thought it would look like, but I did what he said for me to do. That's my goal. That's what I want to do in honoring him every day. Just step out and trust him. It's when you just do it, he rewards that. He honors you in that. And it might not show up again the way you expect it, but he will reward you.
And I believe that. I have to tell you that Abraham went out not knowing.
That's right.
And but obedience, he went out in obedience. And listen, in his obedience, God accounted it to him as righteousness. And I know we've got the dynamic Sabrina Reynolds here on the platform today, but she's telling us truths. What you might want to consider if you need something else, like the other part of the business acumen, because this is foundational here to build upon. She has coaching sessions. See, people don't want to invite. I know you's like, Beth, taking a turn here. Yeah, I am. I got a liberty. Because see, you got to invest in your business. Who was that on the platform last week? Somebody help. Oh, Bernice Loman. Oh my God. How can I forget? She said she's tired of encouraging people. She's challenging them now. And we're running out of time. And we don't have, this would be a mass coaching session. And that's outside of the scope of what we're trying to do right now. But I do want to invite you, and I'm sure Lisa's already put the contact information of how to reach Sabrina Reynolds. Either her or Dr. Jess will put it in the Facebook line. Those of you that are on the call, I'm going to give her an opportunity to speak to that for those of you on Zoom. It might be worthy of a coaching investment, investing in a coaching session with Sabrina. Because listen, learn how your gift shall make room for you. So your first gift is to yourself. Also, another opportunity is to join Georgia Christian Business Network. Yeah, call it a plug. What I want to call it is wisdom. Amen. It's an opportunity to sow on good ground, get connected with an organization that is all about what we say, putting God back in business. See, my friend Art Druckenmiller, my business mentor, one of my business mentors years ago, this guy's about, I want to say 75, 80 years old, outstanding. I have the most respect. And one of the things he told me is first where I got show up. The first opportunity to win is show up. I added the in obedience. show up. The second opportunity, back then we didn't have wonderful co-working spaces like I'm in right now at Cornerstone Co-working here at 279 West Krogan Street in Lawrenceville. We had to go to coffee shops, but Art told me to always pay the rent. We may not be hungry. We may have just come for dinner, but we always got coffee and a dessert, beignets or wherever we were. Oh, did I eat with Art? But the opportunity that I'm telling you right now is that you've got to learn to sew. That's a great opportunity. So I've taken this time to let you know that there's more of what Sabrina has to offer. Sabrina, I'm going to give you an opportunity in just a second to give us some closing points. But the opportunity that, since I'm talking now, I want to do my housekeeping, if that's okay. The opportunity is for you to now choose to invest in yourself. Get aligned with a business organization. If you're a member of the chamber, wonderful. But I'm talking about GCBN, Georgia Christian Business Network. Visit our webpage, gcbnetwork.com. Email me, info@gcbnetwork.com. We have great opportunities, not only on this Take Charge Tuesday platform, but in addition to that, we have Wellness Wednesday tomorrow. It's a great opportunity at noon to get connected. It's like a mass coaching session. It takes Angela to tell you about Rich Oswald, who's a licensed professional counselor, and Pamela Bridgman Bartell, who is a LCSW, licensed clinical social worker. And they are GCBN sponsors that have been on that platform for a year and a half, because we take the holistic approach to putting God back in business. You're your business. This month, we're so blessed with another GCBN sponsor. This lady is out of Dr. Karen Borg out of Dallas, Texas, and she sews into GCBN. She's a guardian sponsor, and we invited her because she's a licensed counselor as well to be on the platform. And we're coming behind all of these great opportunities for listening to Sabrina Reynolds of the world that are dynamic, outstanding, that are ushering us to elevation now. And we follow it up with an outstanding Wellness Wednesday program to keep you encouraged and empowered to continue moving forward. This month, we're talking about confidence. And so tomorrow, we're going to introduce you to some and also represent to others in a new perspective, Godfidence. So join us on those platforms on Take Charge, on our Friday Flyer Noon Nugget is Larissa Jean, who is also a GCBN sponsor. I want to thank you, Sabrina, and give you an opportunity to give us a closing statement of a couple of things or points that you would like to end with. And thank you all so much for joining us. We sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you so much. Listen, I just want to say three things. I call them the 3 C's. You need to check, be content, and confess. Check yourself. Check what you're doing. Check, your motives. You need to check, the reason why you're doing these things. And in order to check, you got to ask yourself the 5 whys. Just keep drilling down. Don't leave it at the whole spiritual level. Sometimes when you dig deeper, you'll find out that your why is not so holy. So allow him to speak to your heart so we can dig up those things in your heart. Be content. Practice gratitude, because if you're content with who God has called you to be, you won't be chasing after all these other things, all these shiny objects, and just spinning your wheels. And you won't be, stuck in comparing yourself with other people. And then confess. Talk to somebody. Share. Confession is great for the soul. Share with somebody. Get some wise counsel. Connect with Beth. She's an amazing coach. Connect with, to somebody who you can really get wisdom from and be vulnerable with. So that way, that you're not alone as an entrepreneur. Sometimes we put ourselves in this bubble. We think that we got to make it happen ourselves when really we're not created to be an island unto ourselves. We're created for relationship. And then, it's good to have others that are around you that can give you wise counsel. So that's my encouragement. Check, content, and confess. That's important.
I love it. Check, content, and confess. And I think that middle of the road, sometimes opportunity, that contentment, you know, it's very hard being, you know, practicing that gratitude and understanding that that is so key to keeping that sandwich together. You know, it is so key. We have a prayer request, and I want to honor that. So those of you that need to drop off, please do that. Simone has requested, she's joined us, and she thought that this was a prayer group for business owners. And we do have a great opportunity. Our April session, our first session in April, is going to be all about praying for your business. But we'll tell you more about that later. Listen, we're all about putting God back in business. And if it's prayer you need, you didn't specify specifically what that looks like. So we're just going to say, she says she has a unique request and God knows already. So we're going to just lift you up, and everyone that's on this call and that is still with us on Facebook Live, we're going to ask you to join hands with us in the spirit, if you will, and we will lift you in prayer. Is it related to your business, is what you're saying, Simone? Is that what you're saying?
No, ma'am. What it is that, well, it could be related to my business, but my husband just passed on this weekend, and he was my partner for the last 18 years. March, we would be married 18 years, and I just need prayers for strength, prayers for wisdom, prayers for God's guidance. I'm not necessarily a big business owner, but I do hair, and trying to open my own hair salon. And just trying to get around godly people who can help kind of give me the wisdom to do that. But right now, my specific prayer need is for me and my children to navigate through this big loss, because this is big for us.
Okay. Oh my God. And we want to extend our condolences, but the Holy Spirit is leading me to stop the live stream. So thank you guys for those on Facebook Live. We appreciate your joining us, and you've heard enough that you can lift up Simone in your prayers. Okay. For those of you on Zoom, please stay with me. We've got some prayer to do. Okay. Take care. God bless you.